Coming to you from the beautiful Treasure Coast of Florida, you're watching HamRadioConcepts.
Hello YouTube, Eric with HamRadioConcepts, and it has arrived. The DR-1X System Fusion Repeater, direct from Yaesu. Took about a month and a half, they're on back order. This is the Wires-X ready model, brand new firmware, latest firmware rather. Haven't even begun other than to open this up and see what's in the box. Haven't even gone through it yet. I mean, it's all sealed. And you've seen the video I have of the one in operation at the local repeater site. This one will be going up in Vero Beach as well. And I bought the Wires-X kit HRI-200 from gigaparts.com. They were the only ones at the time that had it in stock. There was a shortage or a back order of these things. So gigaparts.com had one on hand, picked that up, 124 I think it was. Repeater was 600, and if you're going to get a repeater you might want to jump on it because I think after March they're going to stop. Right now they're up to 600 bucks. But I'm going to fire this up on a dummy load for a while before it goes on air. When we put it on air I'll have a video then too. And but basically I want to show you what's in the box, getting it set up, playing with some of the features and some of the functions that we found were a little bit troublesome on the squelch settings and stuff, and then getting the wires going, registered, hooked up, and testing it out. This will be fun, and then some more videos on the way that I'll have, so you know, with the improvements on wires and stuff. So let's open it up, take a look at it, and get it fired up in action. Alright, in the Wires-X box, the limited warranty card, of course, want to fill that out. This is some paperwork to maintain, make sure you have the right firmware. The CD for the Wires-X, CD for software, this is for Windows. The USB cable comes in a foil pack. This is a high quality shielded USB cable, A to B. Alright, that's for hooking up the wires box to the computer. The 10-pin cable with the ferret beads, and this is going to go from the Wires-X to the back of the DR-1X repeater. And here is, let me unpack this, and the Wires-X HRI-200. Here's the ports in the back. Alright, so let's go ahead and show you how we're going to set it up with the repeater. Alright, so have this thing on the bench, or on the speaker rather, not the bench. Comes with, of course, the power cord is plugged in the back. This is your battery backup cable, and I won't go into the things on the back here. There's another video for that, but there's a port here for battery backup, so you can check out the repeater on the other video. Some spare fuses here. Alright, the feet that go on the bottom, keep it up so you got ventilation. The programming cable. This is USB to a 10-pin for programming, or for not programming, but updating the firmware. Very important. The AC warranty card and a manual. So the manual is packed full of features on setup and stuff. And before we fire it up, you'll see here it says before using the repeater it is necessary to enter the repeater ID. You can change it later, but you have to have an ID in it. All right. And one of the required process to update the firmware in the HRI-200 is to take off the front 4 screws and the back 4 screws on the panel, and the top comes off. Don't make the mistake and unscrew these 4, because then the whole board falls out. But here is a switch. Let me see if I can get down in there. It says normal and program. So this has to go to program, okay? Then it'll show you on the computer with the directions. So let me update the firmware. Okay, and the Wires-X box is plugged into port number 1, which is the instructions. For this situation for the DR-1X, port number 1, that's the 10-pin. Notice these ferret beads. These ferret beads are included now because they've eliminated some issues that Yaesu has found when you have the Wires-X box with the PC and the repeater getting locked in the transmit. I put one on each end. Here's the other side over here, okay? And 10-pin cable goes right in the back into the accessory port. Now, the ferrite beads also should be installed on this USB cable. The USB cable is another problem they found, that you should have. Well, actually, they said the ferrets are supposed to go on the USB, but it wouldn't hurt to have it on the data cable as well, because you don't want any RF, getting into there and locking the repeater up, or in this case, could be shutting down the computer, locking up, or freezing the computer. Okay, so you want to make sure you have those ferrite beads. All right, fired up, brand new. Now I wish I had a tripod to hold this camera. So the first thing you want to do is the call sign. First you want to check your firmware. So this firmware is the 1.10D. Alright, and so you can go into function, ID set. Here's where you'll enter the call sign. Now I'm going to put the call sign of where the repeater site is, not my call sign. K4CPJ. Okay, that's the call sign. And now you're in the function menu. A lot of features in here. Let's go back to the main page and we'll start from there. Alright, let's talk about this screen for a minute. Real quick, this is showing you how the repeater is set up. Right now I have it set up to auto. And basically, if it hears an FM station in, it's going to retransmit FM. If it hears a C4 FM digital normal or voice wide, it's going to retransmit that same mode. So that's the way to really get the fusion aspect optimal, is because you want to incorporate analog and digital. If you set this to fix, it's a standard FM repeater, or you can set it as a digital repeater as well, only. But we'll leave that automatic. And then we go into setup here, and pretty much, entering a frequency is as easy as tapping the screen and typing in the frequency here. Your uplink would be what you're transmitting in on the repeater, and the repeater frequency is the downlink. So basically you're transmitting up 5 megahertz into the repeater, which is 449,700. Transmit power, low, medium, or high. Low is 5, I think, medium is 25, and high is 50. Squelch setting here, if you go into function, everything here can be accessed on the front panel. You don't need a computer to program and set this thing up. So out at the site without a computer to do it, just for a repeater, minus the wires, you can do it right here. Stuff like the ID set, the ID announce, you can set it. Mainly it's set for CW unless you have the voice board. If you don't have the voice board, it's not going to do anything. So CW, 24 words a minute is what we have set here. Your signaling for your tones, 107.2 for the analog PL tone, right? Stuff like that. So what I will say is, in the I don't know why they put this in the timer. If you go into timer, first you have your timeout timer, but right here, squelch hysteresis and squelch tail length. What we have found since the last version upgrade on the firmware is that with high RF around your repeater site, as ours has, setting the hysteresis, setting the tail length too long locked the repeater in the transmit sometimes for 2 minutes at a time. The squelch tail would just go far too long, and it was annoying. Nobody liked it. We set it to 0. 0 has been working really well. And again, this didn't happen until a recent firmware, so maybe they'll fix that. But the hysteresis, basically, if you set this to high or max, max is going to be, unless you have a perfect signal going in, it seems that it doesn't keep the repeater up. You kind of fall off the cliff, and that's why we left that normal. We kind of didn't take advantage of any of the functionality with that. Just leaving it normal is how we left it. Now, your repeater site may be different. You may choose to set it up differently, but those are some of the issues we had. So let's go ahead and one more thing. The frequency right here, if you tap this frequency, you'll see it says packet speed 1200. Tap it again, leave it at 9600 for the data. That's higher speed data, right? And let's go ahead and show you the wires functionality connected with the computer. And when you're ready to put the repeater into wires mode, what you got to do is turn this off, hold the setup button, turn it back on until you see the logo, and then let go. Now it'll ask you, HRI plus repeater mode? Yes. Okay. Now it's going to restart again, and it'll put you in Wires-X mode. Alright, now we'll show you on the computer. Alright, so I'm on my computer and I have the Wires-X machine with the repeater next to me. I'm going to link through it. I have it set up for remote on using this program here. So this is the desktop, Windows 10 desktop of the Wires machine. And so a couple things I want to show you. First, you want to go to Yaesu website and look up under products, wires internet linking, the HRI-200. And the reason I tell you this is because if you go to the site on here for the Wires-X, which is the Yaesu Wires-X site, it seems that the software and firmware is not updated on this site. I downloaded the software on the Wires-X site from Yaesu, and it was the version previous, and threw me for a loop. I was going nuts trying to get it working until I read online that you had to have the latest software. So under Files, the manual and the latest software version 1.110 this month, the 4th of this month, is what I'm using. 4th of February. And the latest firmware for the Wires-X box, the HRI-200. Okay, so once you download these and you update your firmware, you're going to want to install the software. Now, in the process of installing the software, it's going to ask you to install drivers for the Wires-X box, the HRI-200. And that was a little tricky. I'm not sure why, but I'll show you in here what my control panel looks like. Okay, and in fact here, I'll open this and show you. Oh, wait a minute here. We'll go here, Wires-X, and then we're going to open this one. This is the setup that I had to run first. And see, here's the device driver setup and the Wires-X software setup. So you want to make sure your box is plugged in and run the device driver setup first, or you're going to have problems. Now, when you get that installed, just to double check, I'm going to go to the device manager here and just show you what mine looks like, wherever the device manager is. Because if you're having any sort of problems with this box, it's not going to work. Like for instance, this is the HRI-200 communication device. That's under ports, and it doesn't have any exclamation points or anything like that. So if it's not coming, if it's just coming up generic USB or something, you don't have the driver installed right. So you want to make sure you know, it looks like this, nice and ready to go. Once you get that done, you'll install the software. So you get the software installed, you get the wires box updated, and we'll open the software here real quick and show you. I have this running. Now, the first thing that's going to come up and ask you, it's going to look like a page like this. Okay? And it'll be just this, it'll be blank. And it's going to want your DTMF ID and your room ID, or your node ID and your room ID. And you can't do anything until you have those, which you have to register your device by serial number once you get it on the Yaesu website. It takes about 3 days it took me to get my ID number. So I got the ID number, I plugged it in, it loaded the serial number, the call sign, and everything else. Then I can get into the software. Without that, you can't do anything, so don't try to rush. So you can put your you know, your info here. Welcome to the Treasure Coast. I have like a comment, okay? And once you get this done, you can go into your location, set your if you have a GPS connected to it, or I just manually entered in my coordinates so that it shows up on the map if someone's looking by area. Very important. Some other settings in here for rooms, HRI-200 setup. I didn't do anything in here. You can adjust that as needed, okay? But So you got this set up, okay, for instance. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is you got to open ports on your internet connection. You have to have a global ID, IP address, which you should have if you have internet. And you want to open ports, and the ports you need are listed online in your manual. It will show you 5 or 6 ports, UDP ports you have to open. And basically, I went into my modem, my internet provider modem, logged in to it, and allowed those ports traffic, or else you will not have any information to work. And to verify you have it done right, you can go here to Tool, Port Check, okay? And when you click Start, it'll run a test, and everything should be okay. Normally, the only thing that's going to come up is node control, that you have local control immediately, but everything else will fail. You have to have these okay, or you're not. Green means go. If you don't have these okay, you got to go back to learn how to Google, learn how to open UDP ports in your modem. Every modem is different. If you have Comcast, if you have Uverse, it's a different login IP to the modem. You want to get that situated. Very important. Okay. Once you get that done, you're connected with the wires link. Now, the main server. And you'll see up here, Radio 1, it's detecting the HRI-200. Okay. And when you go into File and Transceiver, now that you have the wire software running, you are controlling the repeater at this point from your computer. You're no longer controlling it from the front of the repeater, especially since how I showed you to hold the setup button and turn it on. That renders, you can't really set the frequencies or anything. So you're going to have to do it here, okay? And you can set it up digital or analog. Wires does operate analog. That's a cool thing about it. The only thing is, with analog, you're not going to have all the cool fusion bells and whistles. It's going to operate more or less like the old Wires 2 system, DTMF only, to queue up rooms and nodes, all right? The way you want to set your transceiver is probably the most efficient here. Receive automatic mode select, transmit automatic mode select. If you transmit in on analog, it's going to come out on digital or on analog. If you transmit on C4 FM, it's going to come out on C4 FM. You can set this to receive either signal and transmit only in FM, but you're going to want to use it automatic mode select. That's what Fusion is designed around, is to incorporate analog and digital. And then some other settings here. This is where you'll set your frequency. This is your input of the repeater and the output. These are, again, test frequencies with my dummy load just so I can use it, but this is not the frequency it's going to be when I set it up at the site. Some other settings here, your analog tone squelch for your analog, PL tone here, and stuff like that. And it'll show you what your settings are here for the frequency. Some other squelch settings here, based on your parameters or what you want to set up or how you may have to set it up in your area, will all be set here. Okay, your CW ID and all that. So that's pretty cool that you can do everything remotely to set the transceiver. And once you change something here and hit apply, it's going to reset the repeater. It should come right back online. All right. Now, we'll go into what this looks like real quick. Up here, your idle. If you're transmitting, it'll pop up and show you, hey, it's receiving or transmitting, the call sign on air. All right. A log here, like an event log, shows you. You can see here I was playing with it. Connected to America Link and stuff like that. And that's all going to be in the next videos. You got to stay subscribed and follow us on HamRadioConcepts to see, all the other stuff Wires has to offer. Very, very cool, very fun. So over here is your node list. Basically user IDs like yourself. If you're using it with a radio or a dongle or something, this will be all the nodes here, and you can categorize them by country, by state. So I can go here to, go to USA, all right, and then I can go by state, or vice versa. You can only go by country or by state, but anyways, you get the picture. Shows you their DTMF ID here, and their call sign. So if you wanted to dial up this person here, you can dial it up with the DTMF ID. And it shows you the frequency that they're operating on and such. Some other information here. Website, comments, testing new repeater, Wires-X, all kinds of stuff like this. Now, if you go down here, this is your rooms. This is all the repeaters, or this would,
these would be repeaters up here, and these would be rooms, more like conference rooms or reflectors. Okay, so individuals, nodes, repeaters, and rooms. Okay, and this is pretty new for me as well, but I've stumbled my way through it and made a video so that maybe if you're interested or you're having problems, this will help you. But of course, it is a little new for me. So down here are the rooms. Now I could, if I wanted to, right here on this machine, using the repeater as a radio or connected with the HRI and your FTM400 as a radio, I could simply right-click and connect to it. Or I can get info. I can connect to a repeater up here. Okay, you can do all that from here or remotely using RF on your radio. News, group monitor, that's all in the videos to come. Okay, so you get an idea of what the repeater is doing, what the functionality of it is, and how it's hooked up and what this looks like. This is part 1. Stay tuned, subscribe. Check us out. We just opened a Facebook now, or I just opened a Facebook. I say we, but I mean I. Facebook.com/HamRadioConcepts. Like the page. I'll post some stuff on there as well. And you could also check out the website coming soon. And stay subscribed here for more info. And any questions, comments, or concerns, try to put them below. So part 1 is done. Look for part 2. 7.3 from KJ4YZI.